It is something that most of us were never told. Once you hear it, you'll start to see it everywhere if you pay attention. You're not separate, not from the sky, the trees, or even the person sitting next to you. Everything you see is energy. What seems solid, like a chair, a car, your own body, basically everything you see, touch and sense is made up of atoms. Atoms consist of protons, neutrons and electrons. And atoms are 99.99999% empty space. When we interact with an object, take a chair for example, we are not touching the chair. Our energy fields are repelling one another. So what we see as solid is actually movement, vibration and pattern. From a leaf to a star, everything is built with the same essential stuff. The ancient mystics knew this before science could explain it. They said, as above, so below. They felt what quantum physics now suggests, that we're not separate, but instead connected by a shared field of energy. Even our language, or at least the British language, talks of separateness. I, me, my, etc. As though I am separate to you, the chair and sky are separate to me, and so we create this disconnectedness. There's a well-known experiment known as the double-slit experiment. A single particle is fired towards a wall with two gaps. Behind the wall is a screen. The scientists expected the particle to go through one gap or the other, like sand being thrown at a fence. Therefore, they were expecting to see two piles on the screen. When no one pays attention to which gap the particle passes through, it behaves like a wave, creating a striped pattern on the screen. In effect, it's travelling through both slits simultaneously. But interestingly, when the scientist observes or measures a particle, it behaves like a small solid dot, therefore choosing one outcome, meaning it only travels through one gap and there's no wave-like behaviour, meaning no striped pattern. Physics doesn't say this proves spiritual ideas, but it does suggest that reality at its deepest level is not as fixed or as separate as we once believed. What this means is when not observed, the particle doesn't exist as a single thing in a single space. It exists as possibility. It's only when we interact with a particle that possibility collapses into one outcome. It supports the view that many spiritual traditions have in that separation is an illusion. And this really is quite monumental. It makes me think about how AE describes the earth breath. The earth breathes just as we breathe. It's not individual. What moves through our lungs is also the pulse of the sky, the rhythm of birdsong. From that alone you can see a strong sense of kinship, that to breathe is already to belong to the whole. I grew up believing that I was separate from everything around me in the world. It wasn't something that I had ever contemplated, and no one said otherwise. It was just assumed. But looking back on this, I feel a sense of sadness. I wonder how different my childhood, my inner world might have been if I had known earlier. And I notice how rarely we are encouraged to question the most basic assumptions that we live by. The idea of separateness tells us that we are isolated individuals, disconnected from other people, from animals, from plants, from the sea, the sky, the earth itself. And because this belief is rarely questioned, it subconsciously shapes how we live. Imagine a flower rooted in the ground, and imagine you are one branch of that flower. You have the ability to bloom, but only because the nutrients travel up through the roots, through the stem, and through the whole plant. If the branch were cut off, it wouldn't be able to grow or flower, not because it failed, but because it forgot its connection. In many ways, we live like branches that have forgotten the roots. You might think this isn't a big deal, but it is, because how we perceive the world determines how we live. When we believe we're separate, we act like we must compete, protect and control. But when we remember that we belong as part of a whole, it changes. The way we perceive the world shifts. Our relationship changes with the world. I used to see the phrase "we are all one" quite often before I came to really understand its meaning and its depth. But understanding it is like seeing the tip of an iceberg and realising how much lies beneath the surface. Everyone is interconnected. Humans, plants, animals, sea, sky, air, all arising from the same source, the same energy. I'm limited in how I can communicate with you on this. Some things can't be fully explained, only felt and experienced. To truly understand oneness, you need to meditate on it to feel the depth of it. It's something you sit with, sense and remember. And remembering isn't a single moment, it's a continual returning. I know it's often said that your thoughts create your reality. I don't think this is strictly true. I think your thoughts influence your reality, but they are part of a much larger movement, almost like an orchestra. It's one instrument and one rhythm among others. Life is not about control or power over reality. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about letting go, observing, just being, and realising you're not just standing apart from life, you are already within it. You belong to the whole.